Welcome back to another Boxscore Geek show. Brian, we have our largest live audience we have had in years at three, but we actually have interactive content for once. I am so excited that this kind of came about organically. We're going to rank almost every nickname in NBA history. Not quite all of them. And in fact, I'm not going to lie, when I went through the list, there were some I just left off. I did give any fan vote a requirement. So special thanks to Howard Fear, Logan Trent, and I got to give one other out there. Bot from Russia, aka Regular American, the most real Twitch or Twitter handle out there. They had some suggestions. If you gave me a suggestion, it made the list. So that, like, Steve Adams, the big Kiwi, I was like, that's a cool nickname. But I at that point we had well over 100. I said we're good, but I did put like Captain Kirk on for Kirk Heinrich, just because if you said it to me, it went on. And I will give you this as a boring bonus. Our fans definitely have a Bulls slant. All right, we do have a couple of topics, just classic normal Boxscore Geek show to talk first. We'll get through those. And then you and I are going to go through RT. We're going to be a real stream, Brian. We're turned into a real stream. It's like as soon as you do a tier list, you're a real stream. And
this is
Brian,
content, right? This is content.
Love it. And I should have given you a chance to say, hey, so Brian, how's everything going beyond that?
Oh, it's solid. Let's get into it.
All right. So you actually brought the script, which I appreciate, because I spent all this time putting together a tier list, which I'm very happy with, and haven't been following NBA news. But you had three major things. These are all Brian, but these are great topics. Anthony Davis gets a max. We're going to steal a lot of what we said last week about Jaylen Brown in regards to that, honestly. The RIP to the Pac-12 and gambling comes to ESPN. I did switch the order on you because I think the third one is the meatiest, Brian.
Yep.
I'm curious if you'll disagree, but the AD contract, I think you said popular opinion has shifted, and that's a good thing. I really think this is a Shaquille O'Neal-like move. It's funny, before Anthony Davis left the Pelicans, he had turned into an Iron Man. And after that, on the Lakers, he has been more dinged up. But the reality is, when he is on the court, he is a star. Last season, he just missed the Brian and Dre star. So the way you and I go is Brian Starr is twice as good as an average NBA player using the wins produced metric. So an average player, basically a team of average players you would expect to win 41 games in a season. So, a player that is twice as good as an average player on a normal team is a must in the playoffs. And by the way, there has not been a team in over 30 years without one of these players to win a title. And I think the last one was like Seattle in 1979. And they had like a bunch of players close to it. My requirement is 10 wins produced in a regular 82 game season. I think this is slowly shifting. I think friend of the show, Ty Willinghams, was noting the absurdity of the pitch count in baseball, how it's just an arbitrary number, how a pitch count isn't a bad idea, but 100 is basically just chosen because it's a nice round number. So if a coach says, I really should pull a pitcher out of after 97.3 pitches because the analytics say, but let's just be clear, 100 is just kind of a rule of thumb that's stuck around. And the same is really true of 10 wins produced out of me, because star players have started to get limited on minutes, right? It used to be the case where a star player like LeBron James might get close to 40 minutes per game. Players like Michael Jordan in his day were well in excess of 40. Wilt Chamberlain back in the 60s was getting 48 minutes a game. Like, he played every minute of every game in a season, whereas we're starting to get below 36. So Anthony Davis, if you look last season, he was at 9.3 wins produced in a little under 2,000 minutes. That might still be close to my what's required in a regular season, and in the playoffs was an absolute stud. So the reality is, Anthony Davis is amazing, absolutely worth the money. And the other reality, and this is what we were talking Jaylen Brown, is there is not an alternative. In the NBA, there's a thing called bird rights. So if you're over the salary cap, the only way you can acquire players is one of three ways: either via exception, most teams have a couple of these, and those limit you. Because of course, if you want to sign a star player and you say, we're going to sign you the mid-level exception, let that term give it away as to how valuable that contract is, unless you get a Karl Malone ring chasing, which the Lakers have taken advantage of before. You're not going to get a good player for that. Second, you can pay players that you already have on contract and you are allowed to go over the cap to keep them, which is what happened with Jaylen Brown and now Anthony Davis. And finally, you can trade. And the problem, if you want to trade for a player of Anthony Davis's caliber, is you're going to have to give up contract. So even if I didn't think Anthony Davis was worth the max, and on paper he might not be, right? On paper, if we're doing, wins per dollar, he might be a little below it. I would still argue his contribution, his replacement value, right? We hate the term replacement player in a nebulous term, but we do think it makes a lot of sense in contract. It's going, if you can either pay, what is it going to be close to 300 million? It's got to be more, right? Like Jaylen,
Yeah,
what's he at? Because he's,
let's see, it's a super max. It goes through. Oh god, I can't scroll here.
Is it the most expensive now? We're going to keep having that forever,
I haven't
right?
seen it. I haven't seen yet. I'm not sure, but it's
Do you know
in the
there's
ballpark.
Do you know there's a Anthony Davis that plays football as well? Okay, well, actually, no. Okay,
Oh yeah,
Brian.
he's
I'm
a right
sorry.
tackle, I think, isn't he?
I didn't do my research. Brian, the box score Beckett guide. You know what's up, Brian. This is a 3-year deal with a third-year player option. This is such a steal for the Lakers.
Yeah.
This,
The last
and
year is
actually,
a player option, but yeah.
Oh, and actually, here's why. It's because I think they just restructured his deal such that he signed to a 3-year deal starting in 2026. This is fine. This is absolutely fine. This is in fact ideal, right? It's kind of going either he's still going to have it when he's 34, they're going to be able to get out of it, or that player option, he'll be super tradable. No, this is an easy contract. It sounds so weird, Brian. It is only $180 million contract, Brian. That is nothing, is what I'm going to argue for a 3-year deal for a star player. So yeah, this makes complete sense.
Yeah, it doesn't kick in until 25, 26, so not bad. He's been in the league a long time, but he is one of those players who played 1 year in college and that's it. So, like you said, 34, not that old. I'd be unless somehow the injuries do creep in, but we're just showing his year by year stats. He's actually played 2,000 minutes most of the years. He's been surprisingly durable for, like you said, for his reputation for being injury prone.
And well, also let's not forget the Pelicans towards the end were intentionally resting him to tank, like both because this is classic, right? We've seen this happen in all sports, and like I think hockey, one of the most infamous, 2 players got traded and they were playing each other and they just walked across the arena the same night and played. But typically when you're traded as a player, you stop playing until you go on the other team. So if a player is on the trading block and the team thinks they're going to get traded, they will typically stop playing them. And we'll see a lot of that near the trade deadline where suddenly players are resting. Additionally, if you're a team tanking, you will stop. So the Pelicans definitely didn't play. Anthony Davis's numbers took a dip towards the end there. That wasn't health, that was injury. Now, the Lakers had some bad luck, right? Like Anthony Davis wins a title, signs a new contract, and boom, gets injured on like game 1 of the next season. But regardless, he has played well. And I think some of that has been health. I think like last season, he might have gotten arrested intentionally. And then this season, I think they just wanted him healthy going into the playoffs. And we're like, if we can make the playoffs, we make the playoffs. And in some ways that helped the team out because I think intentionally wanting Davis healthy for the playoffs made them make really proactive moves at the trade deadline to get players that could, that were good replacement players. So I think a lot of teams, if you have a really good star, don't have the incentive to have a good backup. And with Anthony Davis, they did. So, I mean, and the last part about this that we've kind of noted is as popular as the idea of Moneyball is, owners and star players don't want to play on like duct tape teams. They want to play on teams with good players. So the other aspect of Anthony Davis is as long as his perceived value is good, the Lakers can attract a star when, say, LeBron James finally hangs him up. So for all, like, this is such a falling off the log decision. Unless like the Lakers had like a $2 million shot at Jimmy Butler, which of course they didn't, this is fine.
Yeah, and he's just so good on defense. I love defensive players, and when you've got a 7-footer that's one of the best rim protectors in the league and can defend the perimeter, not very many of those guys, Giannis and a few others, not very many of those guys out there.
Yeah. All right. So the second one that's just interesting, you knew more about this. I actually like tweeted at you or texted you right after it happened, is like The Pac-12 fell apart, and really what it seems like happened is they overestimated their chance at a bigger contract television wise. And while they were negotiating for a new contract, other conferences just offered the teams money that already had the money, and it kind of fell apart on them. And you said it's still ongoing. So I mean, what is there any hope for the Pac-12, or is it completely dead?
I mean, it's almost completely dead. I mean, what it seems like happened is that Fox and ESPN just called all the shots. They decided they want to invest in, the Big Ten, the Big 12, and the SEC. And oh, actually, the SEC might be someone else. Anyway, but for our intents and purposes here, the Big 12, Big 10, and the Pac 12, Fox and ESPN just decided to be kingmakers and say we want we want to pay money to put all the big teams into these two conferences and see you later, Pac-12. Meanwhile, the commissioner of the Pac-12 is not a very capable or experienced guy, and he just couldn't put together a deal. It started with USC and UCLA last year, got picked up by the Pac-12 almost a year ago. Um, I think last month. It's been a little over a year. And the Pac 12 just couldn't put it together. They couldn't find a deal that the remaining teams would accept. And it kept kind of going on and on. And then finally, recently, they said, okay, here's the best deal we have. They presented it to the teams in the Pac 12, and it ended up being way short of what they wanted. The teams that went to the Big Ten were getting something like 30 million a year for the deal, and that was a smaller share, and that's going to get raised up to be a full share, which is I don't know 50 or 60 million or something like that in the next few years. Meanwhile, the best deal that the Pac-12 commissioner got was minimum of 20 million a year, and it was going to be based on Apple TV subscriptions, so it wasn't a sure thing. And it's Apple TV. There's no linear television involved. And the teams started saying, see you later. And they all started to leave.
Y-
And
You
yeah,
know what? You know what's funny? One of my most favorite cracked videos is about how 1980s and 90s wrestling really predicated the modern sports landscape. And I'm talking more a lot about the commissioner becoming, a face and really embracing play, character storylines that we see, LeBron James going from face to heel, et cetera. But what's interesting is I would say wrestling also is kind of predicating college sports because back in the territory days, you had all of these different territories. And then once Vince McMahon started just consolidating them all, now the good, bad news is, professional football is bigger than pro wrestling was in the 90s, but the exact same thing happened, right? We had all these territories, they started getting consolidated up, and then you had multiple companies, ECW, WCW, WWE, and then WWE just started eating them all up, and now we basically have two to three AEW, New Japan ish, and WWE, and it's not even close, right, when we look at the difference of size. So it is fascinating to just be like, if you want to predict modern sports, you can literally open the book on wrestling history and be like, oh yeah, here's where we're at. And that's what this feels like to me. Because Paulie Dangerously, Paul Heyman of ECW talked a lot about what happened where he was trying to negotiate basically a distribution deal. And it fell apart. Like a bunch of the people with him were able to just hold out and say, hey, we're just going to make like, if we don't let you get the distribution deal, we'll be able to buy what is owed pennies on the dollar or not be obligated to pay back debts we have to you, and other stuff just came in. And so like the same thing happened here. Well, the Pac-12 is going around trying to negotiate stuff. As you said, the kingmakers are able to just come in and just say, nope, no chance.
yeah, it seemed like the Big Ten schools did not want to destroy the Pac 12. They wanted to somehow play nice with it, but the TV people wouldn't let them do it. So that could, here's the thing, it's so early, there's all this stuff out there, who knows what really happened. We'll have some postmortems. There's still four teams, in the Pac 12 that are, they might join the ACC, which would be hilarious, but I don't know. I mean, I've got mixed feelings. On the one hand, yeah, there is over 100 years of tradition and all these rivalries and everything, and I mean, I go to college football games. I'm actually attend the games and pay for it. So yeah, I mean, it's. But on the other hand, yeah, the NCAA is terrible and always has been, and I don't think the ADs and commissioners are much better necessarily. It's eh, here's what I'll say is so if you didn't think that, the student athlete and all that college sports stuff, that BS we get pushed, if if you believed in that before, well, this has finally got to be the nail in the coffin for that, right? I mean, because here's the thing. Again, like this is me being locally biased. Cal and Stanford, not only are they two top 10 academic schools, which they conferences say they care about, but do they really? They're also two top athletic schools. It's just not in football. They're good at the Olympic sports. And so they just get tossed to the side. So yeah, I mean it's I'm not surprised at the end, I guess, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah. More to cut. And like I said, I'm glad you're around because I had no idea. All right. Very, very last topic, which is sports betting. Basically, ESPN finally gets in. You were explaining this to me where it was basically like ESPN is ESPN licensing Barstool Sportsbook or did they buy it?
They are licensing it, and they also bought a part of it, but Barstool's not part of it anymore. It was Barstool's parent company. Barstool has now been sold back to the original guy, and apparently they're going to go back to being hella racist. They were being muzzled apparently by the corporate man. So Barstool is going to go super MAGA again. Wow. But yeah, I mean the
Yay.
parent company, the actual sports book is now going to be rebranded as ESPN, and ESPN is going to be a part owner.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny where I really do love when we talk like 80s and 90s, where let's not lie and say that sports haven't always had a gambling component. What's really interesting, I have a book behind me. I'm not going to go through my shelf called The Westing Game, which was written in the 70s. And it actually takes place in Milwaukee, which is nice. And a key component is there's a podiatrist in the book who is a bookie, and that's just like amusing. Like there have been bookies forever. There's been sports betting forever. Daily fantasy sports kind of inadvertent. It was very weird to get a front row seat to see that happen. Kicked in the door for sports betting legislation. Basically, daily fantasy sports to stay a viable business had to do a bunch of lobbying and lawmaking past. And when it was done, it had basically blazed a path with lobbying to go like, hey, we did this for daily fantasy sports. It's one step further to do for betting, and the daily fantasy sports companies, FanDuel and DraftKings, who you've seen everywhere, and they have sports books, were like, and we're poised to be ready to be some of the first sports books in the US with this. So it just makes complete sense. And this is very much the sports reality of no, like, it's kind of like, don't be so naive, which sucks, right? I just said betting's always been a component of sports, right? You know, the Black Sox scandal back in the day, athletes betting on sports as well, just is what it is. And it's one of the biggest money drivers. And the reason sports is such a valuable commodity is it is live and people bet on it. And people betting on it is extra great because like what reason do I'm in theory, although not really, a Colorado Rockies fan. What reason do I have to watch the last place Colorado Rockies play except Coors Field is a fantastic place for over under betting on runs. So I will watch a game to see if let's say the Angels are playing the Rockies and there's a really good spread because of how popular it is on Otani hitting a home run or not. Like I might watch the Rockies game to see if Otani doesn't hit a home run because the line got juiced super high because he's playing in Coors. I'm not going to watch that game out of love of the team when they're that bad. And Dave Barry and Wages of Wins basically reinforce this. Fans are fair weather. So if you have a product that you want people to watch and they only want to watch winning teams, how do you get them to watch? You get them to bet on arbitrary crap, which is what the sports books are all over. The only issue, and we've talked this a little before, is ESPN has pundits that can move the line. And you wind up in a really weird conflict of interest area. Now, the reality is you could probably say this really needs some regulation. And the sad news is post Reagan, the idea of regulating media to do things that are financially responsible, I'm not holding my breath. So this will be a whirlwind to see how that goes.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have too much to say about it yet. It'll be interesting to see what happens, and if anything like that does come up. Like, I guess here's my take on it. Who do you think will be the first ESPN on-air personality that causes controversy relating to the sports
It
book. I don't know.
if it follows DFS, so like you can see, my trick is I just look at the past and then template it onto the future. So I'm like, oh yeah, the current thing in the Pac-12, that's ECW in
Yeah.
1998 or whatever. And I'm doing the same thing here. In the DFS landscape, it was just a content producer working at DraftKings that was releasing just an innocuous post that was in theory supposed to drop after start time. And he dropped it one day and revealed that DraftKings employees had access to important data that, it's interesting, it wasn't necessarily illegal, but it certainly wasn't right. And that got people in a tizzy. So that's my 2 cents is if
Behind
we're
the scenes kind of thing, right?
my 2 cents is it's going to be some article writer paid like $100 an article at ESPN that's providing data for somebody who's getting paid way more, that releases some data incorrectly, and they'll, it might cause a stir, and then they'll just do legislation, pay a fine, and it'll be fine. I mean, it's
Yeah.
that's corporate America. It's what it
Yep.
is.
Yeah, that's right.
Genie's out of the bottle, where we're at. All right, Brian, I'm so excited about the tiers. I'm so excited. And let's see how it looks. This is V1. So by the way, already, like, I threw this to Jeremy Britton, friend of the show. And what first I love is we definitely showed an age gap, because the first thing he asked me is like, excuse me, what are tiers? And I'm like, Jeremy, you're old. But second thing, he's like, oh yeah, maybe the size and the fonts. And I agree on some of the names. What I want to stress is this was an automated process. Me trying to put together 150 names by hand wasn't going to happen. So I set up a process, which we're going to trust, and that's going to come up on the list of nicknames. So what we've got is, first off, thanks to Basketball Reference for having a bunch of players. Thanks to, I'm gonna list them out really quick. So, like I mentioned, we've got Howard Fear, Logan Trent, Real American, aka Russian Bot. Thank you on Twitter for giving feedback on nicknames. Also, thanks to, I messed up his name before, so let's get it correct, Thomas Neumann, who wrote the 101 greatest nicknames in NBA history. To what you said, Brian, we spent a lot of last show pruning this list, and you know what I did, Brian? I just put them all on, because
Ah.
I was like, if I'm going to automate this process, then heck yeah, I'm just going to use it. So thanks to those sources. And let me see if another couple actually have. So Pat Heary is another one who wrote a list at Yardbarker, and then at SB, I want one more, SB Nation. So, Brady Klopfer, of course, of course. So,
Oh, there we
so
go.
to give the full set of names: Thomas Neumann, Brady Klopfer, Pat Heary, Howard Fear, Real American, aka Russian Bot, and Logan Trent. Thank you all. That was what made up this list. And for those that don't know, so for the Jeremys out there, let's explain it. The way a tier system works, it's basically a grading scale, but for whatever reason, S replaced A. So S is elite, and then you can kind of just think of these as grades: A, B, C, D. If you're in the United States, that's a grading scale we use. A is aces it, B is good, C is passing, D is failing, and we don't have F on this, but F would be more failing. We have a list of 130 plus NBA players and their associated nicknames, and we're going to try and put each one into a tier. And this is entirely subjective. What Brian noted is, I'm basically just going to give my before the show. So sorry, you weren't privy to this. Our process is going to be, I'm going to give my suggestion to where the name belongs. Brian's going to give me a counter. I'm going to see if I change my mind based on Brian's counter, or if we just agree and move on from there. Sound good?
Let's do it.
And I'll try and explain. So, this is entirely nebulous, which is what I love. I'll say for me, like, S tier kind of has to be a perfect confluence of like a great name, an impactful name, and a name that has like transcends just a good nickname. So let's go from there. We're going to start with the alphabet, which is I'm going to actually get my real list up in front of me, so I'm able to comment on them, because I actually have the names as well too, Brian. So give me 1 second. All right. And send it. So I'm going to mess up the names, but Allah Abdel Nabi,
You got it.
aka the alphabet. And the reason he is called the alphabet is because he has so many letters in his name. I'm a B or C. I'm going to let you be the tiebreaker. Like, it's a solid nickname. It's not anything amazing,
It's
and
kind
it's
of
kind of boring.
racist.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd go C or D, probably.
Okay. C or D. Oh, let's do C then.
All right.
All right. Next up, Jesus Shuttleworth, Ray Allen. This is rough. I don't know here because I was going to say alphabet is C for sure, Brian. I'm not
Yeah.
giving him B. If you, yeah, sorry.
Oh
But
no, sorry. The way you do it a lot of times is the one you're picking now. You just put it up in the middle, just so you can see it up there, and
oh,
then
and
you
then you
go
move it.
back and
I'm in the
forth.
past, Brian, so I'm
Yeah,
watching
yeah.
along. But okay,
Also, we
okay,
can always move these in the middle of it if we want to as well.
yeah.
So it's
Ray Allen, Jesus Shuttleworth. This is interesting because for those that don't know, Ray Allen was put in a Spike Lee film called He Got Game across from Denzel Washington because Spike Lee had the classic decision. Do you want an actor who can look like a good basketball player, or do you want a basketball player that can learn how to act? He went with the former, because Ray, the story is supposed to be this amazing prospect, and Ray Allen, of course, is that. So this works really well. I like, and this is also inspired by another set of nicknames on the list, which I included. For me, this is a solid B, though. I mean, I don't think it transcends. It's a famous nickname, so I think it's a good one, but I don't think it's like top level or transcends the game.
yeah. I think without the movie, I mean, it's I don't know. It's hard to separate it. I'm not a big fan. I could go with a B.
Okay, you'll give me because I could see the argument for a C. I'm agreeing with the B because like I've got a book behind me. I'm talking about books on my shelves. Hey, do you see, Brian? I updated my thing, so I have a nicer background. I can look normal, and I don't have to be a blur on the show. But I have a book on like sports movies. I love sports movies, so it works for me. All right, this one is interesting. B is such. I'm going to say this like the problem is B is such a wide category because I think C is like I'll give you it's a fine nickname, and D is going to be like that's what you like for me to kind of explain it. S is like transcends, next level kind of thing. A is that's an amazing nickname. B is that's pretty good. C for me is going to be like okay, I'll agree it's a nickname, and D is going to be like really that's what you went with.
I feel like
So
we should be expecting a bell curve here to some extent.
yeah, B is going to be the widest by far because I'm going to say Rafir Alston or Rafer Alston. Sorry, I'm
Rafer,
messing up.
yeah.
Rafer. Skip to my Lou. I really like it. Because he like it was he's like and one mixtapes how he skipped. Fine nickname, not a bad one. Nothing amazing. B or C for me.
Yeah, I'll go with B. It's kind of a boring nickname, but it has historical significance to me. So I don't know. I'd
I
go with
like it.
B.
Chris Anderson, Birdman. This is the closest. This is like an A minus B plus for me, but I'm going to admit, I'm admitting this at a time, Brian. I've got no reservations here. I am biased for teams I like and players I like.
Mm.
So I'm a Nuggets fan. Chris Birdman Anderson, he's got the super long wingspan. Makes sense. A or B? What do you think?
It's tough. I think without Charles Barkley putting him over, it wouldn't be quite as good. I'll go with A. Yeah, I'll go
Yes,
with A.
our first A is on the board. Not and like you got the judges here, and they're like, "Hey, he's getting the hometown bias." You bet your ass, the refs are biased in this
It's just
game.
a
I
name
don't
that
even.
fit him really well for the way he played, right?
Yeah, I
And
mean,
all his
like with
tattoos and everything.
and yeah, just the super long wingspan, the arms, the blocking. He's just amazing. This one's rough, Brian. I think the next one I am inclined to give a B to, but I think that is giving the credit to how good he is. The Greek Freak. Um, I find it boring.
Yeah.
I remember as an example when we had Danilo Gallinari on the Denver Nuggets, and like he just had stereotypical Italian music playing when he came out, and he even talked about it. And he's like, you all can be more clever than just look, he's Italian, and Giannis kind of similar with Greek Freak. Where I'm like, yeah, but it's also not bad, and he's amazing. So I could go with a B.
See, the fact that he's so good and it's not a great nickname means it's a worse nickname to me because a
Ooh,
good player should
interesting.
have a better one. I would give it a C. I'm
You've
not a
sold me.
big fan.
I'm gonna agree with that. It's funny. We have the same logic with the different responses. Where I'm like, he's so good. I'm gonna give the nickname a bump because like people know him because he's that good, and you're like, that's the best you got. And we said that about like spoiler alert when we get to him, Tim Duncan. Same idea. Where I'm like, for that player with that good with that much stuff, that's the best you could come up with. Agreed. Okay, I'll give you a C. Robert Archibald, aka Tiny. This is a fascinating one looking into it because it's a family nickname because he's actually named after his dad. He's like Big Tiny, and he was tiny. Um, but it's a really effective name, and I believe he's one of the only four players to get a quadruple double. Right?
I'm not
Uh,
sure, but yeah, I like this one.
like I think if you're in the NBA and you have, let's see, Let's see. Anyway, I thought he got a quadruple double. I'm not 100% sure, but yeah, looking into.
I like the
All
fact that
right.
it's only 4 letters and you still know who it is immediately when someone says it. Well, if you're old anyway, younger people maybe not, but I think that makes it really effective for me.
All right. This next one's going to get fascinating. We got
What was
Gilbert
your grade?
Arenas.
What was your grade for
Oh,
Tiny?
B, solid B.
Okay, let's do B.
Gilbert Arenas Agent Zero. This is one. I think he gave that name himself.
I think he did.
He gave himself the number because that was how many he claims that's how many minutes he was told he was going to get played at Arizona.
Oh, I forgot about that.
So, he always had a chip on his shoulder. He briefly had this period where he was like a known blogger, and was doing stuff like that. And then of course, like brought guns to practice. I give it a C or D because like the giving yourself a nickname and it's an okay nickname, or am I off? Well, what do you think?
Yeah. I didn't think about that angle. Giving it to yourself, yeah. I can't go D though. I would go C.
Okay.
Because there's going to be ones that are way worse than that, I think.
Stacey Augman, aka Plastic Men. This one, here's the mean thing. We were talking about this last show. Stacey, you'd have gotten an A with Mr. Fantastic. Same logic like Mr. Stretchy Guy. Plastic Man, though, you went with, DC instead of Marvel. What are you doing? Easy B, high end B, but B from me.
I'm a big fan of this one, but I will not overrule you. B is okay.
I think it's I think it's like B, close to B plus, and I'm like Mr. Fantastic.
I'm just biased because I was a fan of his as a player, I think.
All right. Let's see. Why don't I have? Oh, I messed up. Yeah, I know what I did wrong here. I'll get there in a second. Okay. Then next I was going to go. We have, and yeah, this is one of those where stuff didn't quite work right. Is the next one Bad News Barnes? It's like
I've
the
got
Texas
Round Mound of Rebound.
Okay, yeah. So I don't know where Bad News Barnes went. Very weird. Round Mound of Rebound, Charles Barkley. This is interesting. I don't think either deserves an A or an S. I think one of these deserves an A and one of them deserves a B, and that's going to be the argument. I give the A to Round Mound and B to Sir Charles. I don't know if you agree or think they should both be A.
No, we had this conversation last time. I'm a big fan of Sir Charles just because, out of context, it's kind of boring, but during the era, it was so big. He did all these TV commercials as Sir Charles, so I have some affinity towards that one.
All right, so you want A for both? I can do A for both.
I'm not as big a fan of Round Mound, though. I could go either way. Well, I don't know. It's kind of long, but it does fit him well. Okay, I'm gonna go with your original. Round Mound is both. A. No, Sir Charles B. Round Mound A. I'll go with that.
All right. Okay. So you're agreeing. We're like, hey, Charles, we're not giving you a 4-0. You're getting a 3-5. I like it. Okay. Next one is this is rough where I just think it's mean. It's like a C or a D.
Oh no, I have Bad News Brown now.
Or Bad News Barnes, yeah.
Or Barnes.
And it's just because he was so beat up.
Bad News Brown was a wrestler.
Yeah. See, that sounds like a good, because you said that, right? If the logic is you're bad news, that's a good nickname. But if you're nicknamed Bad News because you're always beat up, C or a D for me.
I don't know this player at all, so I'd have no opinion.
What
do you think?
Let's make it our first D because it's mean. It's not good. It's not only as so. Here's what's funny. We're gonna get to Robert Tractor.
Mean, I'll go with you on that.
We're gonna get to Joe Barely Cares, which I think is a good nickname, but I agree it's mean. Like if you're gonna be mean, be good.
I want to talk a lot about that one when we get to it.
Latvian Laser is a solid B, and it's just rough because like it's just a cool nickname. Actually, I'm gonna go C. I'm gonna go C with the same logic. It's like
I think it's boring.
Cool, it counts, but it just goes for now. I think I am going to start giving the ding if you go for nationality because it's boring. So,
that's right.
It's boring and lazy. So Latvian Laser, what's annoying is it's cool sounding, but then when you break it down and think about it, it is both like lazy and boring. So
good rationale there.
All right. I can't do better than this for you, Chauncey, but what I love, here's what I'm going to say. There are a couple players on this name, and Chauncey Billups is one of them, where they basically just got a nickname for kicking ass. And I have so much respect for that, right? So this is a solid B from me. It's not quite A, but it's just like, I'm going to have to give like, when your nickname, like Jerry West is Mr. Clutch, he's going to come up. Chauncey Billups is Mr. Big Shot, right? It's just like when, Rob Ory is Big Shot Rob. Like when the nickname you get is literally, hey, you're really good at basketball. I'm just like, awesome. Good work.
Do you know if this nickname is a reference to the song Mr. Big Stuff? I'm
It
not sure.
might be, but I thought it was just I mean, he won a state title.
Hmm.
I do know that with in high school. I went to the same high school he did after him. I went
Oh.
with his brother, Rodney Billups,
Oh, that's
was
right. He was
president of
a
my class.
Colorado Buffalo, right?
Yeah.
I put it on B.
All right. Love it. Okay. So I am inclined to say, huh.
Okay, so this is Hick from French Lick, Larry
Okay.
Bird,
We
right?
got Larry Bird with
Yeah.
Hick from French Lick and Larry Bird with Larry Legend.
These are tough. I have a really tough time with these.
I could see the Charles Barkley rationale AB, and I'm just debating which one I like. Larry Legend, I'm gonna give a giveaway, right? Like if this is like Top Chef and I'm a judge and I'm admitting biases, I'm like Colorado, I'm gonna have a bias for, right? I got some players I got some biases for. I have a bias, as you could probably see with like Latvian laser, for like
Mm.
Stanley alliteration. So Larry Legend, I just like it and it works. And it's also the same logic I gave to Mr. Big Shot, right? When you are given a nickname because you're just that damn good, I give it to you. I think I'm A, Larry Legend, B, Hick from French Lick. I do like rhyming. I think it's too long.
Yeah, it is too long, and I do like the rhyming. Larry Legend's kind of boring to me, but you're kind of convincing me. I would go B for both, but
You know what?
I can go
I'll
either
do
way.
B for both. I'll do B for both. Sorry, Larry.
He should have a better nickname when he's that good of a player, right?
Larry Legend's pretty good in my opinion,
We
but then
can
it's
go
kind of
A.
boring.
We can go
Yeah.
A.
All
What
right,
do you
we'll do
think?
A for Larry Legend because we don't want to offend the Boston Celtics fans, and we're agreeing it's a good nickname. So there you go.
Yeah.
All right, this next one, this is interesting where it's kind of boring but cool, which is Mookie Blaylock, because that's just a family nickname from when he was younger, and I think like it's fine, it's stuck, but it's not related to its game. It's not amazing. I kind of go C for those kind of nicknames, unless there's something else.
Yeah,
So I'm
see,
gonna go
I'm again.
C.
I'm biased because he's a '90s player. It works
You
for
want
me.
B?
I don't
I could
know.
go up to a B.
The fact
I'm
that it's
inclined
like
to it.
his real name, it's not a. It's his like real life nickname, not his basketball nickname. Kind of makes me like it more, but I'm not
Okay,
sure.
let's set B and go on. We mentioned this is a bell curve, and basically B is the tier for we're like that is a good solid nickname. C is the one where like neither of us like the nickname, but
Yeah.
accept it is a nickname.
Yep.
All right, moving on. This one I like, Muggsy Bogues. Part of why he got this nickname apparently was it was how he was playing because he looked like he was getting mugged. It was how it was described. So for the shortest player in the league, one of the most dominant, and then he gets the nickname Muggsy Bogues because he always looked like he's getting mugged when he's getting played, which is true. I really respect him like that. So this one's a B or A for me, especially since he's just known by it.
Yeah, I could give it an A.
A.
Yeah,
So
I could
let's.
give it an A. I love Muggsy.
I love you, Muggsy. A.
It's short. That's nice. It's really good.
For the Mambas, I might be giving this away. I'm almost inclined to give every Mamba. This is what's funny. I think
We're on Red Mamba now,
we're
right?
on Red Mamba for Matt Bonner because he's got the red hair.
Matt Bonner.
And so basically what happens is Kobe Bryant gives him the nickname Black Mamba based on Kill Bill because it's like the most deadly snake. And he's like deadly. But he nicknamed himself, and it's very Agent Zero-ish to me. So that's one. Two, a bunch of people like decided to mock it. So we have Red Mamba and White Mamba on the list as a result. And what's ironic is I think the ironic names for bad players calling himself Mamba in honor of Kobe, I like a little better, but honestly, all three of them could go C for me, honestly.
Yeah, I agree with your assessment there for me not liking it, and I could even go lower, maybe a D. Yeah, I don't like the mocking. I don't like the whole ecosystem for these nicknames aren't good. I don't like any of the
Let's
Mambas.
give Red Mamba D. I'll agree with you. It's like a funny joke, but it's like
But
it's making fun of
it's not pulled off very well though. It's not
yeah.
that funny.
You're like, yeah, I get what you're trying to do. It's not funny. Love it. All
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
All right. This next one, I think I'm going to give I could go B or A here for Bill Bradley because his name is Dollar Bill. It is very popular, apparently, for people that have Bill as a name to try and use it in a nickname because there's also Medical Bill coming up later.
Who's the
But
Bill of Rights? We've got to do that one.
ooh,
Yeah.
how do we not have Bill of Rights? Okay, Brian,
Who's a Bill in the NBA currently that could take
we're gonna
that?
have to find a bill that that does like that has all the fundamentals or something. We call them the Bill of Rights. I love it. but it's such a boomer name, like Bill Bradley, and he's a historical player.
Yeah.
So I'm like, in kind of, we even talked this little last show about like the eras of nicknames. I'm inclined to like it a little more because of that.
Mm.
Um, because it's like, yeah, that's like a 60s nickname if ever I heard one. So I can go B or A for Dollar Bill.
I don't have a strong feeling, so I say
Let's
B.
just stick B. Yeah, H curve or bell curve. All right. The next one, I do love the rhyming.
Yeah.
Downtown Freddie Brown. That's a B or A for me. That's just a cool nickname.
I'm down for an A. I
Let's
like
do
this
A.
one.
It's just, especially if you're older and you get it earlier, like there's excuse for that. So,
Yeah.
all right. Joe Bryant Jelly Bean. I'm giving it a C, but I also give it like it's very similar to the Mr. Big Shot respect. He was just named Jelly Bean because he likes sweets. And you're like, all right, fair enough. I'll give it to you.
I might like it a little more, but I'm fine with a C on that. We'll give it a C.
I'll give Black Mamba so the Bryants get to sit right next to each other. I will give them both a C next to each
The
other.
fact that he gave it to himself is damning here, I think.
And I mean, yeah, it kind of sums up my respect and hate of Kobe all in one, which is a lot of his a lot of his perception, right, was like self-made and people like building him up to more than he was. So it's just like, I'm deadly. And I'm like, listen, man, 55.6% or 50, I think it's 55.6. I'm like, 55.6% true shooting ain't deadly. It hurts. Like you can call yourself like garter snake with sharp teeth, but you can't call yourself the deadliest, right? That would, in his era, actually, that might go to like a Steve Nash or Ray Allen in terms of scoring wise. So anyway, that's what I'll say to that. Jimmy Butler, Jimmy Buckets. I like this one a lot, but it's not too creative, so I go like B.
Yeah, I agree. Again, like it's kind of boring for how good he is, I think.
All right, love it. Thanks for giving the B. Michael Cage, this one I'm A or B. Like a lot of, as we've already mentioned, a lot of these are supposed to be B. His nickname is the Windex Man. That's just a really cool basketball nickname, right? And it makes sense because the glass man cleans the glass. We love rebounds around here. I could do A or B for that.
The one about my problem with this one is I never heard it during his career, even though I watched a ton of his games. So I don't
Let's
know.
stick him in B then. So
Yeah.
it's like a good nickname, but we don't know.
Also, we don't need to be corporate shills here for Windex, Dre.
We went for another
But
brand of we
Michael
went
Cage, he was very underrated, deserved a better nickname.
I think in past he won. I think I named the award after him at one point. I went and looked through star players, that's 10 wins produced or more, that had the least support on a team. And one of his years with the Clippers is like all-timer, like amazing player with no support. All right. I'll give this one a C. Joe barely cares. I kind of like it, Brian. I think it's mean, but I like it. That's my
Yeah.
rationale there.
Yeah, I agree. It's a good nickname, but I don't like that it's mean. But Joe himself seemed to be okay with it. He had like a lot of off the court stuff in terms of good stuff. Like he did a lot of charity work and he wrote books and painted and all that. Well, he still does, as far as I know. So yeah, I guess he just wasn't into basketball as much as anyone else. I don't know if he barely cared though. So that's kind of mean. Thing is, like he has a special place here in Warriors country because, of course, he got traded for Robert Parrish and then the draft pick that became Kevin McHale. And Parrish, solid young player on the Warriors, but didn't become the Hall of Fame player like he did on the Celtics.
I
So,
don't know what to tell you, man. He averaged 20 points a game over 4 seasons.
who
Like
Parrish or Carroll?
Carroll. From 1983 to 1987, he averaged over 20 points a game. Now, we admit, like, here's what's frustrating for us. We might admit that he probably wasn't good. I think I've looked at his numbers before and he isn't great.
He's pretty mediocre. Yeah, his numbers are not good.
But we've also clarified that like there is what players get paid for, and that's the point, right? Is
Mm,
it's going, you can't get mad at a player that just scores when that's what you pay them for.
yeah,
So
that's true.
good God. Yeah, he does barely. But and you also don't play over 36 minutes a game for 80 games in the NBA without barely. Anyway, I don't like it, but I don't know. It's just like, it's
This is
funny.
a tough one. I could go higher on it, but I think C's fine.
C's fine. Yeah, no, I agree with. I'm saying the reality is it should be D because it's mean, but it's C because it's good, and it could be B if you really like it. But anyway. All right. Next up, we got Fred Mad Dog
Carter.
I got the right Fred Mad Dog Carter. So I was looking at the bad one. I like this nickname. I mean, I don't know how clever or creative it is, but it is. That's
That's
just a
my
good
only
one.
issue. It's kind of boring. I would go B.
B is fine for me. I'm really curious. Yeah, Vince Carter with Vinsanity.
Oh,
I like it, and he's good. I don't think I can go higher than a B though.
that's fair. I could see
Same as going to
arguments
be
for an A,
truthful
but
insanity. Same
yeah,
as truthful insanity. I mean, it's just
that's right.
C or D here for Bill Cartwright with medical bill. And that's the same point. He was injured all the time. I think it's a D. It's a nickname and it's boring. It's like you
You
already
going
have
D?
dollar bill.
I'll go
You already
D.
have dollar bill. You're doing medical bill. All right, Brian, I pulled an audible here and I got no complaints. So there is Cedric Sabalos, who is nicknamed the Garbage Man. I don't hate the Garbage Man, but it's boring. That's a C. Acceptable nickname, makes sense, but like almost similar to Michael Cage with Windex Man. It's like it's a good nickname, but even if you're the best at it, it's very generic, right? The
To
Garbage
me, a
Man is
garbage man is someone who gets a lot of offensive rebounds, right? They're hitting the glass.
interesting. Yeah, I mean that's
So he
actually
was a small forward, so I don't know if it fits his play style.
all right. Well, I'll take a look really quick to tell you what I think. But you have the nickname. You and your friends
This is not a
the
real nickname.
nicknamed him Onions because Sabalos, if you put the Y like Cebollos, right? It's close to the Spanish word for onion. I love it. I think we got to make this thing, Brian. Here's the reality to me. That nickname, if used correctly by a good like a Jim Ross announcer, could be a B. It would be an A if it was used for real in the NBA. Because like Cedric makes you cry. Cedric
Oh, I
Onions.
didn't think
You
about that.
you you could like think of all the ways you could use Ryan. Like Cedric Onions here, he's making you cry. Cedric Onion, adding the spice, the flavor to the team. Like so much you could do with that. We missed it, Brian. It's gone. It's a flash in the pan, never coming back. But Cedric Onions, I could give a B to, and I could probably give a C since it wasn't used.
In hindsight, I don't agree with myself in high school, or I guess my friend who made it. We're just kind of mispronouncing his name, which is kind of lame, but I don't know.
Well, if you made it, you can leave it on the bottom. You don't even have to put it on the
No, we
board.
have to put it on the board because we'll get C.
Oh, we'll give a C. Yeah. But I'm saying, here's what I'm saying, Brian. That name could have been a B or A if instead of Garbage Man, boring
Yeah, I
Garbage
guess it
Man
does.
name for
Yeah,
Cedric, if they had used that in his heyday, there we go. All right, I'm inclined to just give both. So I think I want to give both these an A. Wilt Chamberlain, Big Dipper, Wilt the Stilt.
I like Wilt is still more than Big Dipper, but I could be convinced.
Yeah, I mean it's your call. Like I think both are A. I would do A for Wilt's 100% and could do B for Big Dipper because apparently he was big and he would dip. Like that's why I got the nickname. But it's just like, but then it's also like it seems like a good because like constellation. I don't know.
Well, okay,
Let's
one thing is it's the 70s, the age of Aquarius. I go with the hippie angle. Yeah, I'll go both A.
love it. Yeah, and I mean I think A what we're showing is it either has to be a really really good nickname a la Birdman or Muggsy, or you're like an amazing player paired with a nickname that fits. Okay, Nat Clifton, this is a solid C. I had to make a headshot for this because he's so old. He wasn't on Basketball Reference. He was just named Sweetwater because he literally like, and we have another player on here. I don't know if I added him or not, but was named Whopper. He like fast food, and I'm like, you're not even like Nat Pepsi Clifton. You're Nat Sweetwater. I'm like, you got a nickname and it stuck, so I'll give you a C for that.
This
No,
one
I'm
is
going
tough for
D.
me.
This is D. I'm going
Oh,
D. This
this
is
one is
terrible.
tough because I've always liked this nickname until you told me where it came from. Then I'm like, yeah, that's not
All
great.
right, let's leave it in C. Let's leave it in.
He's
Let's
such
leave
a
it in half.
historic figure too.
Yeah. This one's interesting. DeMarcus Cousins, nicknamed Boogie because of how he moved. He was nicknamed that by Rod Strickland.
Mm.
Rod Strickland when he saw him play. I'm inclined to give this a B or a C. It's a good nickname. He doesn't like it, but it's when you're like similar to like Alston, where it's named after like your play style itself, and it sticks. Like everybody, he was known as Boogie from like the second he joined the league. So I could give this a B pretty easily.
Yeah, I like it as well. No one calls him DeMarcus. Like everyone just calls him
Yeah.
Boogie. So it's like an effective nickname.
Next to Bob Cousy, Houdini of the Hardwood, Billy Cunningham, the Kangaroo Kid. I'm inclined to just give both of these a C. They pass.
Oh, interesting. Too
Oh, do
old
you think?
school for you? I
I
don't
don't know.
know.
Like I even like Houdini, but it's just like that's we've kind of noted this, like the same kind of thing. There's a player on this list that's got the nickname Satch. It's like when your nickname is just referencing somebody else. I don't know.
Oh, you're saying there's somebody who's not Satchel Paige named Satch? That's funny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's Houdini of the Hardwood and Kangaroo Kids. Like you're literally just using somebody else's name. Now, sure, it's like you're Houdini because you're magic and you're Kangaroo because you jump, but it's just like,
I like Houdini the Hardwood a little more just because it rhymes or sorry, it has two H's. It's an alliteration.
all right, you've sold me. Let's do B for Houdini of the Hardwood, C for Kangaroo Kid.
Yeah, I got nothing on Kangaroo Kid.
Generous C. All right, Steph Curry. There were a couple of names, but the one I ended up going with was Chef Curry. B or C. C
Yeah,
probably.
that one's tough. Yeah, I think I will because it's just like it rhymes with his name Steph. Like it's I don't know. Well, and he cooks, I guess. Steph cooks. I don't know. You're right. He should have something better. I'll go with you on that.
All right, this might show another bias, Brian. I think I might be inclined to give both of these players an A for it.
Ooh,
Anthony Davis is the brow.
that
I
one's
can give
so
that
good.
I can give that an A. He's got the unibrow. He's leaned into it. And spoiler alert, who's coming up later on the list? There's a beard on the list. I think I can give that an A too. And they even had a commercial together where they're both doing it. So it's just like, if
It's
you
also
have
a
a
Dick
feature.
Tracy character, the brow.
Ooh, interesting.
So
He had the thing, he leaned into the thing, he's been known by the thing, and I like the thing. So I give it to you.
I like it as well. I'll go A.
All right, this next one, I have an affinity. I think I'm going to go B and could be tempted. Glenn Davis, aka Big Baby, and this nickname originates because he was so big as a kid for Little League, he got bumped up an age tier, but was immature compared to the other kids. So it was called a Big
Oh,
Baby.
that's funny.
Right, was treated, but it's like he was called Big Baby because he was always big, and then that name kind of stuck around. I'd go solid B. I like this nickname.
That's fair. That is fair.
All right, we're coming up to someone's. We're gonna make
Oh,
a
this
tough
one.
decision. Oh, this is easy. S
From
tier.
this is
Daryl Dawkins, Chocolate
easiest.
Thunder.
Oh, maybe the best one on the list. So good.
One of the.
This one I think doesn't make sense if you're
Okay,
younger, but
okay. It's sorry, I cut you off, but I was
no,
going to
no,
say
that's all I
first,
had to say.
it's an awesome nickname, but here is what makes it cool, and I think you were about to explain. So sorry for stealing your thunder.
No,
Boom.
I was done. I was done. Go ahead.
No, do you know how I got the nickname? Stevie Wonder heard him play
Oh, I didn't
and
know that.
said he sounded like Chocolate Thunder.
It came
Thunder
from
for the
Stevie
monstrous.
Wonder? Oh
A
my
blind
goodness.
man said his play sounded so monstrous and sweet. It was Chocolate Thunder.
Amazing.
Like, I mean, like that's the nickname, just like and that's the thing is he was called Thunder because he's broken backboard. So it's like
Yep.
you get a blind man, one of the most acclaimed musicians who has one of the best ears in the biz is like, oh my gosh, that man's play sounds like Chocolate Thunder. Like, boom. All right.
Amazing.
Cool Hand Luca. C, it's kind of cool because it goes with the name, but I'm going to be honest. The only one that's going to get a pass on this is he's coming up is Walt Clyde Frazier. But if your nickname is just based on a movie reference, like it's going to be hard for you to pass C. So Cool Hand Luca for Luka Doncic, C from me.
Yeah, it's just like a movie that rhymes with his name. It's pretty boring, I think.
Yeah. Hate to say it, but I mean this fits with a pattern. Tim Duncan, the next two, the big Groundhog Day, which was named by Charles Barkley.
I've got Clyde the Glide next, actually.
Oh, Clyde. Okay, Clyde the Glide. This one's rough, Brian. This is very what I'm going to phrase it as is it's very Paul Pierce for me because Paul Pierce has gotten a lot of flack lately, but the reality is Paul Pierce is an all-time great. Paul Pierce has put up an MVP caliber season. He didn't win MVP, but has done that. He put up a Finals MVP career, Finals MVP performance. He won Finals MVP. He put up a franchise career with the Celtics and put up a first ballot Hall of Fame career. The problem is when you take Paul Pierce, and put him next to Michael Jordan and Larry Bird and Magic Johnson. Yeah, heck, even just some of the Lakers greats, right? Suddenly you're just like, wait, why is he here? And you're like, well, he is the shortest skyscraper in New York, which would be the tallest skyscraper in Omaha. So it's rough. I don't think Clyde is the best S tier nickname, even close. I think it belongs in the S tier though.
Clyde the Glide.
Yeah.
I can go with that. It's got everything we want, right? Describes his play. It's relatively short. It rhymes. Yeah, I think this is S tier.
He got it from being such an amazing dunker. Like, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, to the next, I would actually say the next three I could easily give C's because we've got Tim Duncan Groundhog Day, which was named by Charles Barkley because Tim Duncan's play just stays persistent. Tim Duncan, the big fundamental, which fine, it's descriptive. And then Kevin Durant, Slim Reaper, because he's slim, he's tall and slim. I can actually give Kevin Durant, it's still a C. I don't know.
Yeah, I could go B or C on that one. It's sort of clever, but sort of not clever. So I'm on the fence on that one. And also, no one ever uses it.
Yeah, it's like
He's KD's his real nickname is the thing.
And yeah, that's
that's not even a nickname, right? That's just his initials.
I put CP3 on here, and that was like the only one I could do. I didn't put PG-13.
Yeah, it's borderline.
And like as we've even noted, like Tim Duncan's nickname is really Timmy, and I'm like, that's not a nickname. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
All right, Purvis Ellison, Never Nervous Purvis, who you noted that would usually get shorted just to Nervous Purvis. I am a fan of nicknames. I'm a fan of this one, right? If you're called Never Nervous because you're just cool and clutch, I can give this one a B or an A.
Yeah. Ooh, I could. Solid B. Is it an A though?
Solid B sounds good.
I was a fan of this player. I might go A. Let's just go
It's
B.
your call.
Let's just go B.
All right. I think we got back-to-back S tiers, which pains me, but it's true. So Joel Embiid, The Process.
I wasn't sure about this one, but you convinced me. I think it is an S.
It's the thing that puts things to S tier to me is it basically has to transcend the player and also apply. And so just like Clyde the Glide, you and I are both from the 90s, we remember that. And it's just like, yeah, he was just known as that, like him and MJ. There was a period of time that people forget. Obviously, Air Jordan wins out, but there was a period of time where Air Jordan versus Clyde the Glide, like the two high-flying dunking players that were making final after final, they were the NBA. So there is that. And The Process, right? Just Sam Hinkie kind of popularized this and Joel Embiid embracing it. It pains me. It's very, I think, I don't remember if this made the show, but we were talking this pre-show, Brian, about Dave Chappelle, how he did the famous Prince sketch. And then Prince made an album. And on the cover, he used a picture of Dave Chappelle dunking a basketball. And Dave Chappelle was talking about it later and was just like, he got me. What am I supposed to do here, right? Am I going to go and try and sue him over using my image on his album cover where I was making fun of him? It's just like, Joel Embiid literally did embrace The Process for that nickname and is known by it. And it's like, can't even hate it.
I think he did pick it himself, but I can't even ding him for it. It's just, we've talked about The Process in terms of, the 76ers on this show so much. And it just kind of describes an era of basketball, the past 10 years or so. It's just so deep. There's so much to it that, this is a really good one.
All right. We might be going for a hat trick, Brian. Let's see if we got this.
I have Dr. J still. Did we?
Dr. J is S. We don't even
nothing
need to discuss.
Talk about. Yeah.
Let me give a little backstory for people that don't know, which is more than awesome. He came into the NBA with a nickname, but the nickname is based on his basketball play, and he was called the Doctor because he basically just had so many moves he was handing them out like prescriptions. So that's why I got the nickname Doctor. And then it's so perfect, man. And I mean, it precedes Dr. Dre too, who I love. Like Dr. J was the face of the ABA. Just absolutely love it. Easy S tier.
Yep. Not
even a question. All right, Brian, the name that started this all, because I was breaking packs of NBA cards, 1989-90 NBA hoops. And I ran into Eric Floyd and I was like, who the heck is Eric? And I was like, oh, Sleepy.
Yep.
And then I looked it up. Now, the thing is, this was originally a dig because he was playing like he was asleep, but he got nicknamed Sleepy Floyd and it stuck. And then he went on to just like play like he was unconscious. Like in a game, he actually won a game for the Warriors against the Los Angeles Lakers. So easy A. You're the person here that would say if it has a case for S.
Oh, I would go S just because I'm biased, but I can't really vote on this one.
I can give it S.
But yeah, I mean, I've talked about this before. Like that Sleepy Floyd game is what, I was watching the NBA before that, but that's what in those days it was more listening on the radio than watching in person. or watching on TV. But yeah, I
That's
mean
wild.
this game that I listened to on the radio really got me into basketball.
Love it. Okay, Sleepy Floyd goes S. We get our hat trick on the board. Brian, this is a bias of mine. I
Mm.
think we can go for 4 because
Oh,
we got
really?
Steve Franchise Francis. Now, here is my argument why I love this as an S tier
Okay.
nickname. And maybe it doesn't belong there. Maybe this is a not a normal S tier nickname, but a Boxscore Geeks S tier nickname. Because what I love is Steve Francis was rightfully named Steve Franchise because he was the franchise. He was the Houston Rockets. And
Wait, I thought he
I've
had
loved,
it when he was on the Grizzlies. Did he not have it till he's on the Rockets?
I thought he got it on the Rockets, but I
Oh,
could
I'm
be
not
wrong.
sure. I'm not sure.
Okay, I'll look it up. But what I love about it is Steve is the franchise player, right? He's the franchise player. And then a trade comes up, and a trade comes up for Tracy McGrady. And when that happens, there is a famous commercial that I love. It's actually a fantasy sports commercial on a fantasy sports team where a guy is talking to, at the time, Jason Kidd and Vince Carter. And he's like, Jason, I got to trade you. And Vince Carter's like, what are you talking about? We're a package deal. This guy's amazing. We go together. He goes, I go. And the guy goes, now this is going to sound weird in hindsight, but this was a thing. And I would have agreed with it at the time too. He's like, I got Steve Nash. And then Vince Carter says, see ya. And that's the thing. So that's why I love Steve Francis, because he was nicknamed the franchise rightfully, and he was easily traded, showing an NBA the value of franchise or not.
Oh,
But I think
interesting.
I like it. I think it's A. I mean, that's a
Okay.
box Greek S, but I can give it an A.
Okay.
All right. Walt Clyde Frazier, the way he got this nickname is he'd wear a fedora. He does have style. Walt Frazier is stylish. And he was nicknamed after how am I dropping his name? Dick Tracy. How Dick Tracy, the actor who played Warren Beatty, looked in the movie Bonnie and Clyde.
Oh, that movie. Did that movie come out that long ago? Damn.
I can give this a B because he like similar to the style, he wears it well. But just like I already said this, if you are named after a movie, it's going to be really hard for you to beat C, and I'm giving him a B.
Yeah, I think this nickname is probably considered to be higher by most people, but yeah, we should put it lower.
Like it's known, but yeah. All right, this next one I think is a solid A.
Yeah.
I don't think it's quite an S, but World Be Free. This was kind of cool because he got the nickname because he had a huge his one friend called him World because he had a huge vertical leap and could do 360 dunks, so like around the world. And then he was called Rainbow, like free for his like rainbow shots, like it looked like free. So put him together, World Be Free, put it on his name. I think he gives himself the name, but I still can give it to him. I think that's an A.
Yeah, that's a good one. Classic.
KG makes me sad. We kind of talked this. His nickname is the Big Ticket. C.
It's just
He
boring.
deserves so much better.
It's just boring, right?
Okay, this next one, the question is going to be, is this S or A?
Ooh.
George Gervin, the Iceman.
I'd probably go S.
And this is, and let's be clear, this is pre Top Gun, so it's not movie. It is for the same. And by the way, Val Kilmer's character in Top Gun gets it for the same reason Iceman does, right? George Gervin, you got ice in your bloods. You're just cold blooded, right? Like, I go S for Iceman. Let's move on. Artist Gilmore, the A Train. B. It's a good nickname. Fine.
Yeah, another one of those where he was such a good player, kind of boring, but.
Rudy Gobert, the French rejection. All of Rudy Gobert's nicknames were C's to me. I'll give you to him. And like he was also the Gobert report after the Colbert report. I hate all of Rudy Gobert's nicknames and his off the court
like we
stuff.
said, any nationality nickname we automatically ding.
More C.
Although I will say the movie The French Connection, masterpiece.
Good movie.
Love it.
Really good car chase, right?
Absolutely.
Okay. Daryl Griffin, Dr. Duncanstein was his nickname. I like this one. Got pretty high on a lot of lists. I can do A or B because I think it sounds like it was a known nickname, and I don't think it quite goes to S, but I can do A. It's a good nickname and people like it.
I can go A. It's kind of corny, but it works.
Richard Hamilton, Rip. This is one where, like, I'll kind of know. I have my things where I'm like, this nickname just deserves a C, but if you elevate it, you can get a little higher, aka Walt Clyde Frazier. I'll give this a B because basically he was called Rip. It's a family nickname because he would rip his diapers off. I'm fine to elevate it to B because he just, wore it so well.
Yeah, I think that's fair. The short ones are always good. I like those.
All right. I am perfectly fine with the beard in the A tier. Love it.
I have Penny first.
Oh, Penny.
Penny Hardaway, yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I think I moved him in because he was missing. All right. Penny Hardaway. This is an A nickname in my opinion. Just for
I
the
agree.
note, like what's weird is it's a family nickname and it doesn't really line up. But for whatever, like I kind of noted for whatever reason, Little Penny, right, was known
Yep.
as it. Just all the stuff. Like it's one of those where you look into the like what's the word I'm looking for, the somethingology, right, where you're looking at the origin of the word and you're like, oh, that's where it came from. That's not that interesting. Like Walt Clyde Frazier, I was like, really, that's where it came from? Or Nat Sweetwater, I'm like, really, that's how it got there. But he just wore it so well and was so synonymous and at his peak was well known. So easy A, we agree. All right, next up, the beard, another easy A for me.
Yeah, I think so. I would consider an S, but it's not like it probably doesn't have enough to go S.
Nah, I mean, it's an amazing beard and great. I think he would need to have done like something in the finals or something, or I don't know.
There's nothing creative about it, right? It's just like, well, he has a beard.
All right. Next one up is John Havlicek with Hondo D. This is a childhood nickname based on. Oh,
Ooh.
what?
No, I have no opinion. It's just
He might be
burying the
known as it.
stars.
It's just not a good nickname. Like that's what's so sad is apparently if you're really good at basketball, you're just like my nickname's this because my friend used to call me that. And you're like that's what you got.
That's fair. Tough but fair.
Yeah.
I agree.
All right. Tom Heinsohn was nicknamed Ack Ack. This
I
gets
didn't know
convoluted because he was a Tom, because common name if you're Tom is Tommy Gun, right? Like Rocky Guy
Oh,
has it. It's really easy to call you like a Tommy Gun for whatever reason. You shoot hard, whatever. And then Ack Ack is the sound of a Tommy Gun. This is like a C
it's very
because
convoluted.
the nickname works. It's a little convoluted, but it gets a C like with my criteria of like it passes as a nickname.
Yep.
I think I'm inclined to give this next one an A. Actually, who is up next?
I
Is
got
this Big Shot Rob?
Big Shot Rob, yeah.
A because he earned it. I think it's a B nickname, but just given the number of game winners, given the number of titles he has, right? I think he's got like a game winner for like the Rockets, the Spurs, and maybe even the Lakers. Like
I like this one a lot.
he earned it. That's an A.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, like
Also,
I said,
again, I'm 90s biased, so
yeah, he's good. Allen Iverson. This is tough.
this one's a little disappointing to me.
Oh, interesting. I was putting it high A.
Yeah, I could
So are
go.
you leaning more towards B?
I think so.
It's got to be at least an A. The answer, I don't know.
Because again, his real nickname was AI. It wasn't the. I mean, people use the answer every once in a while, but it was really
All right.
just
I'll give it B. I'll agree with you on B. And
Also,
AI just
Iverson was so influential that it seems like he should have something more interesting,
interesting. I mean, it's funny. It's like I'm giving some credence to nicknames that are just like well known and kind of fit, but yeah, A or B is fine.
We're tough graders. That's good.
Phil Jackson, the Zen Master. He owned this one, like, and is known as it. I'm fine with an A on this one. That's a cool nickname.
I don't know. I'm not as sure. Well, maybe it's legit. This always felt kind of phony to me. I mean, I guess he did talk Zen stuff to his players. I'm more on a B.
But I also thought like
one.
how he was in the game, right? Like he was always calm and collected.
That's
like
true.
On the sidelines would just like stay very like he's very zen. I like it as an A. I
All right.
Might be a little biased. I'll stick with it. LeBron James, King James. This is tough because it's a high C or a low B just because it's boring.
Not very creative.
Like, it's just such a boring name for such an amazing player.
Well, it is a reference to the King James Bible, so that's kind of I've always liked that angle. But
yeah, that's what you're going for, nickname.
I could be talked into a C.
I'm C. Like I'm not higher than that, which is a bummer because he's amazing. But it's the same as like Greek Freak. I'm just like, you're so good that they gave you a nickname and like, and like John Havlicek was like Finals MVP back in the day, like because we've talked. There is some like era adjustment for this where you're like dollar bill and like old music, or Nat Sweetwater. I keep coming back to that. There are these old nicknames where you're kind of like, well, that was the era. So it's like, even with that in mind, like John Havlicek, I'm like Hondo. I'm like, can't even do that. All right. And he's that good. All right. The next, I really like this nickname, the Little General for Avery Johnson.
Is that a Charlie Chaplin movie, The Little General?
I don't know. I thought that the Little
Or
Dictator,
Buster
right? When he
Keaton?
plays
Oh,
Hitler.
Little Dictator. That's what I'm thinking. Yeah, you're
Um,
right.
I like this one as an A or B pretty easily. It's a good nickname.
Hmm.
I think you're leaning more towards B.
I don't know. It's not interesting enough to me.
All right, let's stick B. I don't think it's bad enough to be a C because like when you're like a floor general and tiny and it fits, it works.
I just look at the ones up there like the beard. It's not as good as the beard.
Okay, so what we can
Or
stick in
Penny.
B.
You know, it's not as good as Penny.
Yeah, all right. I'll agree. That I'll agree with. Okay, now this next one, I'm gonna set a trap and see if you're gonna walk into this. Because I'm gonna be really curious to see what you say on Larry Johnson, aka Grandmama.
I like this one. Um, again, just because it's the '90s and he got nicknamed because he played like a grandma in drag in a TV commercial, basically. So I kind of like it. I'm a solid A on Grandmama.
I thank God that was the trap. I was gonna be like, if you said anything but A, it was gonna be like a Matumbo just swat. Like, what are you talking about?
And because he was actually a good actor as the grandma in drag, like it's pretty good.
I love it. All right, next one, easy S. This was the argument when I started talking this because we brought up Eric Sleepy Floyd, and I've got no complaints with him in the S tier, but like I think my initial like my harsh grading is like I was like the top 3 all time nicknames are Magic, Air, and Dr. J.
Mm.
And so Magic Johnson's up next. So obviously Magic Johnson's S tier, no question.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
It's like here's the thing, like I said, if you've got a childhood nickname, if it's not basketball related, I'm a little tougher on it. But he was named Magic Johnson because he was so magic on the court, and he came into the league with it, and he held up. And if you watch anything, it's just like,
Yeah, classic.
Vinny, this is just a good nickname, but I think it's like a B because I just don't know if it's specific enough. Vinny Johnson, aka the Microwave.
Yeah, I forgot about this one. It's kind of a good. Well, here's the thing: like microwaves were kind of a newer appliance that were starting to get more popular at the time. I mean, they'd been around a lot longer than that, but that was kind of the era where a lot of people started having them in their house. So it's kind of topical. I don't have an opinion on this, honestly. I have no opinion.
Yeah, B. It's a good nickname, but I'm not like it just doesn't go to the next level for me.
Yeah.
Now, I mentioned Joker is rough. Joker is solid C, borderline B for me. It is unique to the name, the last name, Jokic. And he has kind of owned it, but it's just boring.
Yeah, to me, it's
Same as
kind of like Americans don't know how to pronounce his name, so we're just gonna do Joker instead. Like it's kind of lazy.
Did we put Vinsanity B or C?
Let's see. I think we've got B for Vinsanity.
I'll put Joker wherever. Vinsanity, Linsanity, and Jokic all go, and Joker all go in the same category. And like you took the name, you added a thing to it that kind of sounded like it,
Yeah.
and that person is good enough to own it. I'll take it.
Yep.
Which good news. We got Linsanity set. Air Jordan S tier. I mean, when you're the image of the league and well known, and
Yep. Yeah, that's a good one.
This next one is such a depressing C for us, which we've discussed, which is the Rain Man for Sean Kemp, because it's a movie reference. Rain Man, rain spelled like king, as in ruler. He's plays in Seattle. I just got his rookie card, by the way, in the 1990-1991 NBA hoop set, the best set of basketball cards ever, in my opinion.
Wow.
I think you just don't get better than that. But it's doing too much. It's trying too hard, and it doesn't quite land, is my opinion. So Rain Man, I think you and I both were like underwhelmed by that. That was like a C, I think, for both
I like
of
it
us.
a little bit more, but I could see it being a C.
Yeah, it just tries too hard and doesn't do enough. All right. Next one I love. This is a B or A for me. Bill Laimbeer, the Prince of Darkness, one of the bad boy Pistons. He earned it.
I didn't know this was his nickname, to be honest.
I could see B then basically being like awesome nickname that fits the player that just wasn't super synonymous. And we're both that's both our eras, right? Like I got
watched him
like
play so many times, and I probably did hear it, but I just forgot.
yeah, just won a mini or something.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, his name is Lambier, which is kind of a unique name, so I think people just use that.
Yeah. Trajan or Trajan Langdon, who is
Trajan.
now a GM. Trajan, thank you.
Oh, that's
The
right.
Alaskan Assassin. I'm just going to give it like this is a
He's named
solid B.
after a Roman emperor, I think, Trajan.
This is like a solid nickname that fits the guy. Actually, C. Actually, C because it's just going for
Oh,
where he's
interesting.
from.
I'd give it a B, but it's that 90s bias, so okay,
Yeah,
we can
sure.
go
Let's
C.
stick with okay. You said C. You got the last call. Kawhi Leonard, the Claw. Did he nickname himself this, or was this given to him?
I have no
That's my.
idea. This is
It's B
another
or
one I
C.
don't hear very often. Yeah.
Like he tried to brand it for like his Nike shoe and stuff. I remember that.
No, I thought he was New Balance.
Yeah.
Or you're
Or
saying
like
before he joined New
remember he
Balance?
moved. Yeah. Well, no, that was the thing.
Oh, okay.
Remember we talked this on. Sorry, this is how exciting that was, Brian. Because we talked this on the show where he like tried to copyright the claw logo that he had with his Nike shoe.
Oh, that's right.
Left it, went to New Balance. He tried to take it. Nike's like, we own that, and he's like, it was my idea and collaborated, whatever. Talking about all that makes me drop you to a C, Kawhi, just for having to remember that story. All right. Linsanity, we already said this. If it just wherever Vinsanity and Jokic are same tier, so that's B.
Yep.
Was amazing. That was one of the most amazing times in NBA history. So love that. Why we befriended Chris Ye, because he wrote a fantastic article on Linsanity. I reached out to him and then we podcasted, and that's been ever since. So real fondness for it. Same, can't feel bad with the B. Thunder Dan, I just like this one. I don't like. What was it well known at the time you were watching?
Oh,
Easy
yeah.
A then. Easy
Yeah,
A.
I think so.
It's just such a good nickname.
Yeah, it is. It's good.
You can see same thing with like Chocolate Thunder, if you know, because
it's the same thing, right? It's for his dunks. He was Thunder Dan.
I hate this. I got to give it an A. I can't. I will never I will never give him an S.
Yeah,
because he's a jerk. He's a one of the worst people to come through basketball. But Karl Malone, the mailman, always delivers such a good nickname. Could go S, but I'm just not. This is very much, Pete Rose in the Hall of Fame for me. If you're upset by that, people out there, mark my words, as long as I am in this tier, Boxscore Geeks tier voting system, Brian, Karl Malone will never be an S tier. But I have to still give it respect and give it an A.
I like your rationale for that one.
All right. Moses Malone, chairman of the boards. I don't hate this, and it feels campy and old, so I could do B or A.
Yeah, I think I'm going to go B. It's a little too long.
Yeah.
But, yeah, it's pretty good.
Pistol Pete is an easy A. Question is, does it go a level higher?
Yeah. I think this is probably an S for me, but
yeah, it's well, also what we stressed this already. Like, I think Pistol Pete and I don't actually know the origin. I'm going to look that up. I didn't even bother when I was you can see for some of these names, I
assumed it was his shooting, but I don't know.
Well, I mean, of course, but I'm just saying, I'm wondering.
Let's find the real, because I liked Sweetwater a lot until I got the explanation.
Oh, okay. This makes this even better. This is Cactus Jack style. So for those that don't know, Mankind, Mick Foley, Cactus Jack, the many faces. When he was Cactus Jack in ECW, one of his phrases was "bang bang." When he was done, he would do that, and that became one of Mick Foley's known catchphrases, based on the B-52 song, "Love Shack," whatever.
Sure, yeah.
That's where he was singing that to himself and did it, and then he just started doing it. So Pete Maravich, you're right. He was such a good shooter, and when he was done, he would act like he was holstering a gun.
You're saying Mick Foley, because again, B-52s were after Pete Maravich, right? Maybe I'm getting this.
I'm thinking Mick Foley for Bang Bang. That's what Mick Foley would do, and I'm saying Pete Maravich, same thing, where he was such a good shooter, he would pretend he was holstering a gun after a shot, and became known as Pistol Pete. So he earned it from his play, became synonymous, and I mentioned this when we were talking this last show. It is so known that, like, Pistol Pete, if you know someone named Pete, you could just call them Pistol and you're fine. So easy.
Yeah, and also his play style, like he was one of the first flashy kind of street ball players. It was great.
All right, next one, Starberry. I love the nickname. I think A is as high as I can go, though.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I think it's good.
All right, Sean Marion, The Matrix. You're named after a movie. I give it to you. The movie was popular, but like C. It is
Yeah.
it is amusing for Sean Marion to have aged better than the movie franchise he was named after. With that also said, shout out to Justin Kupako, who has started writing articles about why like Sean Marion has a Hall of Fame. I'm going to throw this out there. This is a little bit of shade to people like Justin Kupako. If you're an advanced analytics person who has numbers that justify why a player might be Hall of Fame, and then you go out and say those numbers aren't actually as good as you think, and we have to look further, maybe that's why people don't respect your numbers. Own your product, people. Anyway, going forward. Um, I like this nickname and I want to give it a B, Brian, but it's a C at best, which is Cedric
Ooh.
Maxwell for cornbread. It's a cool nickname, but when your nickname is you like the food, so we named you the food, it's really hard for me to go higher.
I'm a
And
really
I
big
think
fan of the food as well, so I would
I
go
love
higher, but
as Chris Rock says, cornbread ain't nothing wrong with that. I agree, but I can't do higher than a C, Brian.
okay, I'll respect you on that.
Vernon Maxwell, Mad Max. This is funny. This is going to be the one case because he is, I believe, named after the movie,
Yeah.
but it fits with his name
Yeah.
and it can work. I still think C, but I could be.
I'm at least a B. I'm at least a B.
You'll go B. We'll do B for Mad Max.
Just because it fit his personality and play style so well. To me, it's a classic, but again, the 90s bias.
All right. We got Tracy McGrady, the big sleep. Apparently, he got this nickname after a 40-point game in like the first half, where like he was like playing so well he was already asleep by the half, was the comment.
This is another one. I didn't know about this one. So even though I watched a million of his games, I don't know. I'll go C.
Yeah. All right. George Mikan, Mr. Basketball. This has to be a B or an A just because if you get that moniker, like if you win it, he finally got his number retired by the Lakers too. Yeah.
To me, it's boring, so I'd go B, but I could go A.
B. Oh, yeah, I'll take B. Darko Milicic, Human Victory Cigar. This is a D for the fact that this is not unique to him and is just a lazy nickname. And if you like, this is very much like, I think Tina Fey in 30 Rock once was like Steve Carell owns That's What She Said. How dare you use it? I'm just like, no. If we're going to give the Human Victory Cigar to anybody, it's Brian Scalabrine and it's not Darko. Moving on. All right. Harold Miner, a.k.a. Baby Jordan.
This one's interesting. I kind of liked it at the time, but it's the same thing.
Based
it's like
off another player.
Yeah, you're comparing it to Jordan. Yeah, I think it's C.
All right. Yao Ming, Great Wall. It's good, but it's again foreign.
Yeah, it's like Latvian Laser, right? Yeah.
It's a C, but that sucks. I could maybe go B because he was so good and it's not a bad nickname, but just like, hey, he's from China, the Great Wall. It's like, do better.
Yeah, exactly. I agree.
Donovan, I don't know why he got this nickname, but Donovan Mitchell, the Spider, he has owned this. He is so good with it. He's been in like Spider-Man commercials.
Oh, I didn't know that.
But why was he nicknamed the Spider? I don't know why he's nicknamed Spider, but I like it. It's a cool nickname.
Solid B.
Solid B. Okay, Bill Milkvey, Owl without a vowel. This is he's not a good player. He did not have an image in Basketball Reference, but it's amusing. Owl without a vowel. It's
hard to pronounce.
C minus.
I think that's fair.
It counts.
I think that's fair.
All right. Now I love both of these. I
didn't know about Black Jesus. Oh, that's funny.
I had to give these both. Well, I was going to say you had to if you saw He Got Game, because this is what's wild.
He got named after Earl the Pearl, the character.
Yeah, Jesus Shuttleworth in He Got Game is named after Earl Monroe. And Denzel Washington goes on a big monologue to say that he was called Jesus because he, was, like walked on water, was such an amazing player. But of course they were, racist and had to call him Black Jesus. So that's where he got that. That's a cool nickname. And then he's also Earl the Pearl, which is a rhyme, which I love. Monroe. I love both. I could do A to both of these, honestly.
I guess I have no opinion on Black Jesus. I guess it's pretty good.
And and because now again, this might be rough. It inspired Jesus Shuttleworth. So, and by the way, Jesus Shuttleworth, interesting point. We usually were like, if you're named after a movie, you're a C. But if you elevate it, Clyde Frazier or Jesus Shuttleworth will give you a B.
What do you
So
think
that's
about
the other
Earl the
thing.
Pearl as an S? Is that too much?
Ooh,
Because I like this one. It's kind of got everything I like in it.
I can't give it S. I can give it A
Okay,
though.
that's fair.
All right. Next one I think is a B with some generosity. So unless you really hate and want to do C, Jamal Murray, the Blue Arrow.
I don't
This
know
was
about that one.
nicknamed when I believe he was at Duke. I think that's where I went to school. I might be
Oh,
getting a school. It might,
yeah.
it's a blue
Might have been
colored school,
Kentucky.
but yeah, wherever. And
Might
I'm
have been
showing how
Duke.
much I just got a red refractor Jamal Murray Prism card, so I'm very excited about that from this year. But he would after same ideas like Pistol Pete. He would do an arrow thing after he made shots, and they made this into a thing, and so he got called, the Blue Arrow because school color is blue.
It was Kentucky, yeah.
I'm giving this a B with Brett, man, that's extra rough for Brett Barup. So B, but I'm admitting bias unless you hate it.
Yeah, B's fine on this one.
All right. This next one, the question is ARS. Hakeem the Dream, Elijah.
Oh, man. The problem is the S's are so good. I don't know. I could go either way. I could go either way.
You're both of us being a little bit I just missed the word, whatever would mean cautious. I'm gonna say as an A.
Okay.
And we'll have hell to pay from the fans.
I can't diminish Chocolate Thunder.
Yeah. All right. These next, here's what's rough, Brian. These both next two probably both deserve a C, but I want to go D for Diesel on Shaq because I find it just, or C,
Ooh.
C, C, C.
Okay, okay.
C for Diesel on Shaq because it's boring. Shaq Fu was a terrible game and he got the nickname, and I just kind of want to give it a B because I remember it and I love the video game, which is the worst reason. I'm literally
That's
like,
funny.
if you're based off of a lame property or movie, you deserve a C at best.
I like
and I'm
Diesel more just because just saying Shaq Diesel kind of rolls off the tongue, but
I could do
I'm not.
C for both. I don't know if I can elevate Diesel to B.
That's fair. That's fair.
Okay, this next one is one that's rough because this was a name I knew. Robert Parrish, aka the Chief. He is nicknamed after the Native American character in One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest,
That's
which is
awful.
also an interesting portrayal. By interesting, I mean bad portrayal of Native Americans. So this is a rough one where there's a well-known nickname. The term chief itself isn't necessarily derogatory, but then when you track back the origin, it is, I don't know.
He plays like he's lobotomized. Like that's a really bad nickname.
Well, they were saying the stoicism, like, because remember the character didn't talk and was very.
No, but he got lobotomized at the end of the movie.
I remember, and then it was satired really well by The Simpsons. I could, yeah, it didn't age. I'll do C just because of how it aged, but I mean, it was a well-known nickname.
That's fair.
All right, Brian.
It's not as bad as those D's, is it? Those D's are worse.
These next two might both merit a D. Chris Paul, aka CP3. I think it's a
You're
C
going after my Warriors, Dre. How dare you?
He's well known. Yeah, Chris Paul, well known for loving the.
I like it because it's short and descriptive, and yeah, I
that
like
is the
it
most
overall.
computer science. I'll give it a C, as in it counts as a nickname, but it's the late initials plus jersey number. Like, what is this? 1984.
It rolls off your tongue too. It rhymes CP3. Like it's just I like it, but I'll go C.
Billy Pultz was nicknamed Whopper because he liked fast food. This is such a D to me, man. Oh my God.
That's fair.
Gary Payton, the glove, I think is an A.
Yeah,
not quite S, close Gary Payton.
It's so good.
But just such an
very
amazing
similar
name.
to the Dream, I would say. Same era.
Chuck Person, aka the Rifleman, I think that's another A. Now he is named after a TV show, but it's appropriate. Like, I'm not going to be mad. Like, to the same point, if George Gervin was named after Iceman from Top Gun, but the reasoning was the same, like you have ice in your veins and it becomes synonymous with you, I'll take it. All right, Brian, where are we putting the truth? Where are we putting Paul Pierce, aka the Truth?
I've never liked this one.
I can go C. It counts as a nickname. It's known. Not as good as the answer.
It's really corny.
All right. This next one we both hated, and I'm inclined to do a D, especially because it's from you, Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant said Kristaps Porzingis was a unicorn.
Oh, that's funny.
So people call him a unicorn. And first off, no, he's not. He's just tall. Sorry, like tall people can block shots. Hate to tell you. So it's a terrible nickname. He doesn't do everything. And then the term unicorn in Silicon Valley
I
has
hate it.
become kind of interesting because of the all these major companies that buy stuff up and fall apart. So I'm inclined to give unicorn a D. I hate it.
I didn't know it came from Kevin Durant, and knowing KD's personality, this makes it even funnier. It makes sense. Yeah, it's such a D.
All right. Next up, we're going. Seems so boring. The same idea in like the NBA, a lot of country you're from, and then also, oh my goodness, you're white. So Joel Brisbilla is the vanilla gorilla, which rhymes. Might be a Muhammad Ali reference, the Thrilla in Manila. You start rhyming stuff. C, it counts as a nickname. It works. I don't love it.
Yeah, I agree. It's not as bad as the D's.
All right. Bryant Reeves, Big Country. This is a nickname I know. I don't know how amazing it is, but it's, I could see C or B.
I've always kind of liked this one.
That's it. I don't know. Like, same thing. I'm just like, I like this nickname. I'm going to look it up. Basically, it's kind of boring. I'm going to give it a B. It's kind of funny. He was nicknamed Big Country because a teammate, when they were flying in college, Bryant Reeves was just really amazed by how big the United States was. So like Big Country, but he did get it from playing basketball.
That makes it way better. I assume
I'll
he's
give it
a
a
big
B.
guy. I'm assuming he's a big guy from a rural area, but the fact that
it was
even
rural
funny.
area, but it was rural. It was a rural
That's
guy
funny.
goes to play basketball, and he plays basketball and starts flying around. He's like, wow, the United States is pretty
funny
big.
Story.
I like it. Okay, we like it. It hits both of us. I could see other judges being like, that's a lame story. David Robinson, the Admiral, because
I've got one before that. The Big
who do you
O.
got before?
The Big O.
Oh, the Big O, Oscar Robertson. This is rough because I don't think it's amazing, but I like it.
I like it too.
You could do B or A.
That's just an A to me. Yeah, this is a good one.
All right, I'll take A for it. It is so rough, and we admit this is subjective. We're like some of these nicknames, like that is a terrible nickname and is boring, and others were like, you just wore like I said, like Walt Clyde Frazier. I'm like, for whatever reason, it suits you, man. Like I can't quite give it an A knowing it came from a movie, but I can justify. Yeah, okay, we're gonna go for another A easily to me. The Admiral.
Yeah, I agree.
Easy A, not quite S. So that's fair too. So we're not going to get any Hakeem Adri. We're not going to get any David Robinson, Hakeem Olajuwon fights on this feed. They're both A's. They're the same. Everybody right? Let's see. David Robinson get an S tier? Nope. All right.
Yeah, that's fair.
Dennis Rodman, aka the Worm, a nickname he got from playing. So what's weird about this is he got this nickname from playing ping pong or pinball. He would wiggle like a worm when he played pinball. But it just seemed to fit his personality in the NBA.
Yeah.
So I could go B or A for this one. And he was known by it. He was known as the Worm.
Yeah. This is tough. I don't know if it's an A or B.
I'll go B. B then.
B?
Yeah, you're just like you being a little like, I don't know.
Well,
I go B.
The thing is, I mean, we both love Rodman as a player so much. Like he could have done better for such a good player, right?
Yeah.
But it does fit him well. It's a tough one.
All right. B works for me. This one I already mentioned. I hate Tom Sanders, aka Satch, because he's nicknamed after Satchel Paige. It's like if you just take another person's nickname.
Is that a D then?
That's
or a C? Because it is a good person to be nicknamed after.
I'll do C. I can't because of the respect for Satchel Paige himself.
That's true.
Don't look back. They might be gaining. I'll give you a C.
Yeah, that's fair.
Brian Scalabrine, the White Mamba. I had mentioned, it's kind of a funny joke, but I put it wherever we put Red Mamba, which might be D.
It was D.
All right.
We're hating on the Mambas.
Okay. Now this is funny. We got multiple Jets coming, and I'm very curious to see where we go. We got Kenny the Jet Smith. Now this one is like a C to me because he is just named the Jet because he's fast, like class. The reason anybody's named a Jet. Now this was like a nickname used in like the Sandlot too. Admittedly, Kenny Smith precursors the Sandlot, but the idea being you're just really fast, so you're nicknamed the Jet.
Well, it's also a pun though, because Kenny the Jet is like Benny and the Jets.
Is that? Ooh, does this get? I'm gonna look up Kenny Smith. I'm gonna look up Kenny Smith, and if there is a reference to Benny and the Jets, Nickname the Jet.
That song's a
I'm not.
banger.
I'm not. It is a banger, but I'm saying, why is Kenny Smith nicknamed? If I can't find this, it's a C.
I
If
like
it
that.
if it comes from if there is Kenny Chad Pennington and Curtis Martin fan, is that the right one? Is that them?
No, it's that really famous guy from England that just retired.
No, okay, this is a C because the reason for liking this name is he liked other people nicknamed the Jets. Nope. Sorry, Kenny
Oh,
Smith. That
I
is a
didn't know that.
C. If it was Benny and the
I
Jets,
was
though,
trying to help you. I was trying to help you. What's
see
that? Elton
Brian.
John. Sorry, I couldn't think of Elton John. It's an
Yeah,
Elton John song.
this is why you need to name more songs. Okay, this one I'm going to give a thanks to Real American, aka Russian Bot on Twitter, which is Lance Stevenson. I misspelled it here, but the eighth grader because of how
I
mature he is.
didn't know about this one.
Let me verify that it's a nickname, but
Why is he the eighth grader?
because he's so immature. You know, remember he'd like
Yeah, that's funny.
blowing LeBron James's ear. Although I don't see this on his, I'm going to see a C because I like the nickname, but I don't see it as official. Like it's not on his basketball reference page, but I'll.
Okay.
All right. Now, this next one, I think I could do B, maybe even A for a few reasons. Jason Terry, aka Jason the Jet. He took the name from Kenny Smith, which Kenny Smith is given. Like in a wrestling parlance, Kenny Smith has been like, I'm okay with you taking my nickname. I know this because the fake announcer on 2K8 would repeat that story over and over because there's only so much memory. So if you played a basketball game in the back in the day enough, the announcers ran out of anecdotes to say, and you would just hear the same anecdote over and over and over again. So Jason, but it's also he's the Jet because he's fast, same reason. Also, he's Jason Eugene Terry. This is an acronym. As a person that has an acronym as a name, I
Oh,
fully support this. So this is a B, possibly an A.
I like the acronym, but that can't lift it to an A in my mind.
B it is, yeah. All right, Isaiah Zeke Thomas. It is a nickname that he's known for, which I'll give it a C for. It
That's
would be a
fair.
D if it wasn't synonymous with his name. Just such a weird one.
This is another one I'm biased on. I'm a hater of his, so
Yeah.
hard to put him higher.
All right, Dave. The question is this S or
Ooh.
A? David Skywalker. And here's what's key. Here is what is huge. This is pre Star Wars.
I did not know that. That makes sense, though. Yeah, he was played in the 60s.
He was playing in the ABA. He was playing ABA early 70s. So, yeah, the ABA, for those that don't know, the last game of the ABA was in, I believe, March or May of 1976. It was game 6 of the ABA finals, the last finals the Denver Nuggets would reach for almost 50 years. And that was led by David Skywalker Thompson of the Denver Nuggets. Amazing player, got that nickname for obvious reasons. Michael Jordan shouted out in his Hall of Fame speech. I think I can give him an S.
I can go with that. It's one of the best. Yeah, it's one of the best.
And like I said, if you have the nickname before the big thing, Iceman, George Gervin, Iceman before Top Gun, one of the biggest movie franchises ever now with the sequel, and David Skywalker before Star Wars. There you go. All right, Robert. I just like this one. This is like a B or an A. Robert Tractor Trailer. For some reason, I just like it.
I like it a lot too. Wish he'd
I
had a
don't know
longer career.
the last name, the Trailer. It just goes the Tractor. So he's nicknamed the Tractor after someone saw him dunk, just so workmanlike and strong.
Well, he's huge.
But
Like he's a big-bodied guy.
Yeah, but then also the Trailer, the last name, it just fits. I think I got to give an A with the Trailer.
I'm with you on this one. It's such a good name that he deserves it.
All right, Dwayne Wade, aka the Flash. It's a C because people, I guess, call him it, but it is such a boring nickname.
Yeah, I agree.
Now this one's interesting. Spud Webb. I just don't remember why he was nicknamed Spud.
I don't know. Well, because he's really small. I think Spud is like a small person's nickname.
It's just because he's tiny. I mean, he is. Why is Spud? I mean, that's fine. That's like a B because he owned it. Like he was, if you like his nickname on basketball, like his name on Basketball Reference is Spud Webb.
Is it his birth name? It might be.
But it's not his birth name, so that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I think it's a B.
Oh, wait. Okay, I'm trying to read really quick. Let's do the next one. Maybe I'll read while we talk that.
Can I just say one thing about Spud Webb while you're reading?
Yeah.
It's if you're just listening to the audio only here, it's hilarious that these are almost all portraits, so it's the players' faces. But Spudweb, it's like his whole body for some reason. It's it's that's how small he is. But he was good.
Okay. Oh man, I think I gotta update him to a B or A, maybe, because he was named after Sputnik.
The satellite.
What? Okay. I don't know. This is weird. The question is, do we give credit for weirdness? I think B is fine.
He's
His
fine.
feet looked like Sputnik satellites.
That's so weird.
And then he was nicknamed Sputnik. And then, of course, what you do whenever you have a 2-syllable name is you shorten it to one.
It, yep.
So he
That's
came into
funny.
the NBA with that name, but I
That's
like
funny.
it. I'm giving it a B.
That's fair.
Marvin Webster, aka, or do we already do? Okay, yeah, the Human Eraser.
Human Eraser.
I like it, but I can't go higher than a B. It's
Yeah, it's kind of like Plastic Man, huh?
Yeah.
That's fair.
All right, these next two, I think I'm going to go B for Mr. Clutch with the same Chauncey Billups, like respect if you earn that nickname, and A or S for the logo on Jerry West.
I think it's only an A. Well, that wasn't his. I mean, during his playing career, right? The logo hadn't been made yet.
Yeah,
so
he was named the logo
nickname.
Because he is the inspiration for the logo and he stuck around. Okay, I'm okay with B for Clutch, A for logo.
Yeah, that's good.
I think Bill for Jamal Wilkes, aka Silk, rhymes with the name, describes a playing style, but just not quite the next level for me.
Yeah, I'm ambivalent on Silk.
All right, B. This next one, I'm going to admit a bias, and for some reason, it just lands with me. Dominique Wilkins, aka the Human Highlight Film.
Oh yeah,
I just love that nickname. And I mean, again, there was this era before MJ just ran away with the race. There was Dominique Wilkins in the slam dunk contest against MJ. There was Clyde Drexler, the other big dunker, in every other finals like MJ. There was this period in the late 80s, early 90s where these three players were like the face of the high flying NBA. And I like that nickname. So it's an easy A for me.
Yeah, I agree.
All right. Corliss Williamson, aka Big Nasty. It's a cool nickname, but I can't go higher than a B.
Yeah, and also I remember people used to call him Scoreless Corliss, one of the mean nicknames, more than Big Nasty. So also,
I forgot to add that, but I like that.
Isn't Big Nasty like other players have that in other sports? Like, was Randy Johnson the Big Nasty?
Yeah, it's not unique. Like,
he's the big unit. Yeah, okay. B is fine.
Jason Williams again, white chocolate. Anytime you got to go with like, it's just so boring to be like, hey, that player's white. It's like, yeah, fine, great. C.
Yeah, C's fine. I like it a little more again just because it's 90s and I like that era. Or maybe he was the early 2000s even, but I'm fine with the C.
All right, Jerome Williams, aka Junkyard Dog. I just like it's a cool nickname, but I can't go higher than a B.
I agree.
Rob Williams, Time Lord, not quite S yet, and I don't think you'll ever get there, but amazing A. Both for its origin.
I would give it an S, but I don't know why. I just love it.
It can't make
That's
S.
fair.
It's close. Like maybe at
this
some
is one
point.
Of the few where I would not be convinced by you, but for this list, it's an A.
Yeah. Okay. All right. James Worthy, Big Game James. This goes in the same category as Mr. Big Shot and Mr. Clutch, where hats off, tip of the hat that you basically got a nickname for being amazing, but can't really go higher than B.
That's fair. I like a little more. It rhymes, but B's good.
All right. I could do A for the rhyme. I'll give you A for the rhyme. And Big Shot Rob, I guess, has it too, but A for the, I don't know.
James I hate Worthy. To elevate the Lakers, but here we are.
But Big Shot Rob's got to go up too because he rhymes as well. So if Big Shot Rob is in an A, Big Shot Rob gets A too.
Big Shot Rob is A already.
Okay, well there we go. No, exactly.
We have parody.
Big Game James and if someone was like, "Hey, how the heck are you going to do this?" I agree. Okay, looking good. All right, we got our fan write-ins now. One of these depresses me. I think Big Ben is an easy A, and I can't believe I forgot him. So apologies to Ben Wallace. Love that name. Love Big Ben. Works even better after he retired, given that the Secretary of Defense, I want to say, in Britain is named Ben Wallace.
Are you serious? That's amazing.
So yeah, at some point, like someone was just like introducing the new, it might be whatever the term is, right? Secretary of Defense or whatever, Ben Wallace, and like Ben Wallace tweeted about it. I was like, yeah, I'll do my best. And he had a picture of him with Big Ben behind him. It's like, ah, that's even better. So it aged like wine.
And some of these nicknames, I'm saying like, I watched this player and I didn't know that was his nickname. Big Ben's the opposite. Like they just
Yeah.
called him Big Ben during the play-by-play.
Didn't
every
he have
time.
like the Undertaker like thing where they'd play a gong, like a chalk climb when he came out? I seem to recall. I could be wrong.
I can't
Could be
remember.
making this up. But if they didn't, that is a mistake.
Amazing.
All right. Sorry. Let's see the other ones. I'm forgetting. I don't have these on my.
We have another
list.
Jet. Another Jet.
Oh, Chet the Jet. It rhymes. It's better than Kenny the Jet. I can easily do a B, maybe even an A, because it's the first. He's the first Jet.
Yeah, I would go B. I think there's so many Jets that I feel like it's diluted, but it's not Chet's fault.
Yeah. All right. I think, let's see. So we got Chet Walker. Who's next? We got Ben Wallace, Chet Walker.
The original Bull.
The original Bull for Jerry Sloan.
I didn't know that was his nickname. That's funny.
This is a write-in from Howard.
I assume
Fear,
because he was a player on the first Bulls team. Is that why?
Yeah, I could give you that. So I guess I'd say C. It's a fine nickname, nothing amazing.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense to me looking at it. I know he played for the Bulls, so that's probably why.
What I do love, by the way, for the headshots is for Zen Master. It's a picture of Phil Jackson's playing days.
Awesome.
Same with Jerry Sloan. Mount Matumbo. Howard Fear wrote this one in. Here's the reality, Howard. Dikembe Mutombo is my favorite player. It's close between him and Nikola Jokic, and it's going to be so hard to have to give up Mutombo. Like, let's be clear, as a Nugget, Jokic has already eclipsed Mutombo. So it is really the nostalgia holding on, and even eventually that's going to wane as Jokic goes on and keeps playing. This is a fine nickname. This is a B nickname, but it's nothing higher than that. And so that's even why I didn't put it on originally, because I felt bad. But then looking at all these other greats that have C nicknames, I guess the fact that he has a B nickname is fine by me.
Yeah, I think it's fair. I mean, Mount, it's Denver Nuggets, the Mountains. I don't know. Oh, did he have that nickname before he went to Denver? He might have.
Oh, let's see.
I'm not sure how we'd look that up, but
Mutombo.
Either way, yeah, it's just it's not very interesting to me. He's a big guy. Okay.
Yeah, I mean that again. That's like the same as Great Wall, where even if you're like good, it's just like.
At least it's not an African themed nickname. We have that going for us.
Yeah, it wasn't anyway. Very last one, Captain Kirk for Heinrich. I like it. It works because his first name is Kirk. I can give it a B, which is high praise, because we've said usually if you're just based on an IP, you're going to get a C. I just like it, and he got it after leading his NCAA team to back-to-back Final Fours.
Those are really good teams.
So he got called Captain Kirk because he's the captain of the team. His first name is Kirk. Kirk like Captain Kirk. Lands. I'll give you a B.
I think he's one of those guys. He could have had a really good NBA career if he wasn't hurt. He had a lot of injuries.
He was, I mean, I remember, right? Let's see, that was he in the LeBron James draft?
That sounds right.
I seem to recall. I mean, that was what was wild. Is I recall
maybe a few years after.
It was the 2003 draft. No, he was picked number 7. So I mean, just look at that. You've got LeBron James, Dwayne Wade. You got Kirk Heinrich, Dwayne Wade, LeBron James, Chris Bosh, and then I'm trying to think, was there a half decent center on that team? I mean, Chris Bosh is technically David West. So I mean, just check out that team: Heinrich, Wade, Braun, Bosh, or West Bosh. Like that's
all those guys went in the top 10. Also, right? There's like no misses there in that top 10.
Yeah, that's a ridiculous. Except one noticeable one.
Oh, the Human Victory cigar.
Yeah, perhaps the biggest list of all. Akin Comp wants to offer us a promotion. Thank you so much for that, you trolley bot. We already have bots here, Russian bots, the only bot we need, giving us nicknames. Brian, we did it, and we didn't do it in that much time because we started a little after 10, so that's like a normal show time to go through a list of. That was a lot of fun.
That was really fun. I learned so much from you on these nicknames. I love it.
Also, what I'll say is this was trial, because like I said, even like talking, let's say like Jeremy.
So, but actually one more thing, Dre, before we say we're done here, Usually you will go and you could rearrange the players within each tier to try to say,
I'll do S. I don't want to do the others because
okay,
we have
that's
so
fair.
many names. Let's do S. All right. I think number one in the first pick in the draft, I think we're both agreed is Chocolate Thunder. I'm fine with that.
Yeah, me too.
All right. I am partial and I'm not afraid to admit this, that it's biased just because of liking it. I'm inclined to do number two Magic,
I'm also on there as well.
but I could totally see.
No, I
All
think it's
right.
Magic.
Yeah. Okay. Good. Number three. Now, again, this is bias. I'll throw this out to you to show the bias. When I was a kid and wanted to be a basketball player, before the reality of, hey, if you have long arms and short legs, you're not going to be a good basketball player, though I could do stuff. I did win a free throw competition at basketball camp.
Nice.
So there was that. But when I was a kid, one of the first videos I got to learn how to be a better basketball player was a Dr. J Magic Johnson collaboration. So you can see where my bias is. So number three for me is Dr. J.
I like it.
Four has to be Magic or not Magic, Air Jordan. We're snubbing him too much, but
see, I was kind of an Air Jordan hater during those days. I'm like, why am I seeing another damn commercial with Jordan on it?
But you didn't want to be like Mike?
No, I did not want to be like Mike, but I respect the nickname, so it could definitely be four.
And it's elevated, like the shoe brand, everything.
Yeah.
After Air Jordan, I would like to go Skywalker. Just the Nugget love.
That's fair.
Again, we've noted this is subjective, and this is I'm being like, as a kid that grew up in Colorado, a huge fan of the Denver Nuggets, and then also that grew up watching Magic Johnson and Dr. J videos. By the way, I got a fun Chocolate Thunder story that I'm just proud of. My mom was doing a crossword puzzle, and anytime if an NBA question or basketball question comes up in a crossword puzzle, I've yet to miss with my mom. And there was one where it was either chocolate or Dawkins, but there was a clue about Chocolate Thunder, and I nailed that. And like my mom was like, "What?" And I was like, "I know what's up." All right, I'd be fine with Sleepy or Pistol next.
Okay. I'll go Pistol. I think that one's classic.
All right. Then do you want no question. Is your homerism gonna beat Iceman over Sleepy, or are you gonna put Sleepy for, or are you gonna put Iceman?
I'm okay with Iceman at the bottom of tier S. I think
okay.
It's really good, but these other ones are really good too. Or maybe Process, just because it's newer.
All right. So okay, so you've got Pistol after Skywalk. You got Sleepy, Pistol. All right. So you're cool with ending it out with Clyde, Process, Iceman.
That's where we have it at right now, and I'm okay with that.
I like how the S tier looks. That works for me. I'm not reordering. Oh, actually, let's go down to the D. Let's do the D tier. Worst of the worst. I don't.
Okay.
A, B, and C have too many names in them.
Yeah.
I'll leave that to the fans to do. But if you scroll down to D, I can't see it on my screen, so I'll wait just a second to see you there, or you can tell me. But yeah, I want to reorder the D tier.
Yeah, we've got,
and then we can call it a night.
Okay. Yeah, it should be up soon. All right, there it is. It's on screen.
All right. So who's currently the worst to me? So I guess we would do best to worst, right? If we're doing it that way. So, but I want to start with the worst. I hate the Human Victory cigar.
That's the absolute worst. I agree.
To me, yeah.
I would
Unicorn
put
is
Unicorn.
next.
Yeah, I would put Unicorn.
Awesome. That's
We're on the
good.
same page there.
All right. I'm trying to just decide what I hate more. Like basically, we have some very funny ones, right? Right. We've got the mean-spirited medical bill and Mad News Barnes. Or no, did we do Medical Bill one up, or is it down there? Oh yeah. So we've got the Bad News Barnes and Medical Bill are just mean-spirited nicknames. We've got the likes a food Whopper, Honda, which just does not work, and then the Mambas. So I'm just trying to decide what category.
To me, the Mambas are.
Okay, you do Mambas next.
Mambas are pretty bad. Yeah,
I'll do red. It's rough because I'm like, you did red for redhead and white because they're white, but I hate them both. So equal. It's a tie. You can put what. Let's do alphabetical. RW for alphabetical. But those of you watching live, you know this is a tie.
Yep.
All right. I like Whopper. I like the best, even though it's the stupidest.
That's fair.
Like if you're named after a food, it's stupid. It's a bad nickname. It's the worst of the worst. But I'll give you the first. Then I guess I like Hondo worse than Medicalville and Bad News Barnes.
That's fair.
I like the order. I'm okay with this.
Solid tier list.
That's awesome. That was fun.
Yeah, that was
Oh
good.
yeah, and so to a note to everybody, I was going to say this was like trial run. So of course, fixing the fonts, getting more of this, making sure stuff works. But this worked, and I mean, we did a what's the term, like a stress test for this, right, Brian? Because we noted an easy example for this is free agents, and
Yeah.
we do not now. We have done a lot of free agents, but 100+ free agents we want to discuss is hard. So for stuff where like maybe like as an example, all star starters would be an easy one, with like 20 names or whatever. It's just like, yeah, but we did one of the biggest lists we could and we did it. And like I said, there's still stuff to be corrected, fixed, but this was a lot of fun. This was a heck of a fun off-season thing to do.
Yeah, it was great. Free agents might be worth doing later in the off season. Who knows? Once
I
they're
like it.
finally done.
And we're getting to the point where I can compile them quick. All right, Brian. Well, that's what I got. My voice is getting coarse from talking so much. Mind if I go into just plugs, or do you have anything to
Let's
shout out
hit the
specifically?
road. Let's hit the road.
All right. Well, this has been the Boxscore Geeks show. If you found us not through the website, you can find stats at boxscoregeeks.com. I write less than once a month at nerdnumbers.substack.com. This might actually be an article, though. So there you go. If you make sure to save the image, Brian, and send it along to me, and I might
Of
use that in an
course. I'll
article.
send you the link. Yep.
Oh, perfect. Love it. So there is that. You can find Brian and myself on social media. I'm Nerd Numbers most places. Brian is Boxscore Brian on Twitter and B Foster on Blue Sky. And then, of course, you can find this show everywhere podcasts are found, the Boxscore Geek Show. And we go live most Tuesdays. We aim for 10:30 Eastern Standard Time. Thank you, Brian, for staying up late because we had to start late tonight. But Tuesday is usually 10:30 Eastern Standard Time every other week, twitch.tv/nerd numbers. I think that's our show. And Brian, I got to go be big baby, like Big Baby Davis, and go refill my water bottle because my voice is shot.